Hi there, it's Nathalie with you with a new process video for Pink Fresh Studio. And today we're using the Very Merry Christmas collection from Paige Evans, which is beautiful, it's colorful, and it's perfect for you documenting your holidays. So be sure to check it out. And my idea today is, if you have been to my live sessions or you've seen my projects, I love things that are either hanging or floating on your pages and create them from scratch. So I'm going to go ahead and create pseudo ornaments for my layout. I was like, sometimes when you go to like the mall or anything, there's these huge ornaments hanging like in strings, so it looks like just little orbs kind of hanging on like from the sky. That's kind of my inspiration. So I'm going to mark my paper with where I want to put my ornaments, and then I cut 6 circles from heavy white cardstock. I am using the hammer mill that we use for the foiling for this. So I'm cutting 6 because I want to make sure that I have 2 for each ornament. And I want heavy cardstock because I want something that's going to hold all the paper that I'm going to glue to this. Now, to create my ornaments, I am using the 6x8 paper pad because it has a smaller pattern. I played with the idea of using the 12x12, but the pattern was so big that it wasn't that noticeable, so I needed to go to a smaller scale just to make sure that my idea and the pattern showed up a little bit better and help me get a better look for the ornaments. And what I'm going for is I want to create 3 different ornaments using kind of fussy cutting the paper to create my idea. For the first one, I am using this red paper. It had a lot of zigzags. It looked like cross stitch. So I'm going to take advantage of all those zigzags to create kind of a layered look for my ornament. So I'm going to start, like I said, it took me a while. This is going to be the part that takes you the longest, just to fussy cut and glue this piece together, because you have to go piece by piece. So I'm going to start by creating, there's 2 ways about it. I want the difficult way, I'm going to say, because you can go easy and just cut like one paper, like a base out of like red cardstock. But I'm going to use all the paper that I have left over from like, fussy cutting the pieces here for to create my layout. So I'm going to start by adding just like a little piece of red at the bottom. Once I have that, I'm going to go with the smaller zigzag, just because I need to make sure that I cover and I start creating that layer look. So you're going to see that I'm going to go, like, you're going to see exactly, I'm going to glue the first layer. I'm going to make sure that I put enough glue, especially at the edges of the circle, so it holds the paper in place. I'm going to help myself with the grid that I have on my mat, so my layers are kind of like the stripes in this case are nice and straight. And then the key here is, as you build, you cut the edges. That way you know exactly what your ornament is looking as you build it, because you cut in the curvature, so it gives you like that circular look that you're looking for. So you're gonna see that I'm gonna say that it took quite a bit of paper because I had to cut it into smaller pieces. So I'm gonna say that I use around 3/4 of this paper, not like all of it because I had to leave some pieces outside, but just to build the layers. And I want to create like, kind of like a layer look for my ornament, so it looks like nice, and it's not going to be super fluffy that you can move like, the layers a lot, but it's going to give you the look of like, just think of it like scallops on top of each other. So that's what I'm working with, the zigzag. So I'm just going to keep building, the ornament from the bottom up. That's the key here, from the bottom up. But then when I reach to that big zigzag piece that I have, I realized that, honestly, I don't know how you call it, to be honest with you, but the angle that the V creates is quite deep, so I needed to add a piece of like red paper just to the center so that it doesn't look white. The beauty of this paper is that the stitching is in white, so it kind of pops from the red. So I just needed a piece of, like I said, those extra pieces of paper came in super handy because I just cut like strips, attach them to my circle, and then I was able to, keep building all the layers. So you're gonna see, once I have that, I'm gonna go ahead and glue that big zigzag piece, and then I'm gonna trim the excess, and I'm able to actually add a second layer from the piece that I have left behind. So I had to play like quite a bit. You're gonna see me that I play quite a bit with the pieces so that I can use as much as I can of it. Once I have that, I'm gonna set it aside to dry completely, the glue. Make sure that it's nice, everything is nice and ready. And I'm gonna go ahead and start creating the next ornament. So this one is gonna have that kind of layer look. The other one, I wanted to have kind of like a pattern. I want to create a pattern using layers again. So I went into the 6x8 paper pad, and there's a paper that has all this crisscross stitching that looks like a sweater pattern. So I'm going to take advantage again of those kind of zigzags to create my ornament. So I'm going to put it on my paper kind of where I have an idea where it's going to sit. I'm going to kind of fold a little bit the zigzag pieces just to make sure that they pop a little bit, but I'm going to not much, because remember, it's just little pieces of paper attached. So once I have that, set it aside and start working on the other one. One of the things that I did too is that I went and to try to get each ornament to be one single color. So the top one has a lot of red. This one I'm going to go with that kind of like that blue tealish tone that is in the collection. So I'm going to cut all the zigzags. You're going to see I'm going to cut a few of them, but I needed to bring a color base to this. I couldn't leave it as white at the bottom, because then you lose the zigzag look on the back, on the design. So I cut another piece of paper, and this one here that's blue with those stars hanging, that's actually the B side from the present paper. I don't know the names because I'm using the 6x8 for this. So I'm just going ahead again, the same idea as before, just start building from the bottom up. What I'm doing different is I'm not using my glue tape. Instead I'm using the new glue from Pink Fresh Studio, just because it helps me do like just small lines of glue, and it dries quick and it dries super strong. So it just kind of sped up the process to a little bit. Again, glue, attach, trim, continue. This is pretty much the way I'm going to go about it. So you're going to see that in this design, I'm going to kind of create a base, and then the two zigzags at the bottom in a way. Then I'm going to leave a space in the middle, and then I'm going to repeat the bottom look at the top of my ornament. So kind of the space in the center is going to have empty spaces. Don't worry, we're going to fill them up after. And also what you're going to look is that not the entire circle is covered with the zigzag. It's going to be kind of the right hand side of this ornament. It's going to be kind of not complete the zigzag, and I'm okay with that because that's where the photo is going to sit. So half of this ornament is going, not half, around like a third or so of this ornament is going to be hidden by my photo. So I was okay with not having the entire zigzag. So you're going to see, I'm going to give you an idea. See how my picture is going to sit there, so you're not going to see the background. Once I have that, I'm going to set it in place, and then I'm going to work on the last ornament. I want to take advantage. I needed to add something green because of those are the colors in the blanket that in the design that you see in the picture. There's a little red, there's white, there's a little bit of blue, so I went in green. So I went and cut a circle that was 3 1/8 inch from my 6x8 paper pad, and then from that, the paper that I had with that sweater look, I cut those kind of snowflakes that came in a row. I just cut them together, and I'm gonna pop them with a little bit of foam adhesive, and then fold the edges towards the inside of the back of the ornament so that it looks like it's wrapping around the ornament. And then I have it ready. I'm gonna set it in place. Remember when I started this project, I kind of mark all my paper using a pencil where everything is going to sit. It's kind of a point of reference, not exactly where they are going to end up at the end. There's going to be a little bit of movement because I decided to trim my paper from 12 by 12 to around 10 3/4 square, just because I wanted to make sure that it was framed and I was like, went straight to the ornaments hanging. So then what I'm going to do too is I'm going to create a perforation or punch a hole at the top of each ornament. That is going to help me to create that hanging element on it. And I am using thick gold metallic embroidery floss for this. I didn't want to go with white because it kind of got lost on the background. So went with something that is a little bit on the shiny side and it's kind of a neutral. So gold, because there's gold in the collection too, so it works fine. I'm just going to loop the string in this case to the perforations in the ornaments, and then kind of fold them behind the top of the page, and I'm going to hold it with washi tape. Once I have that, I know that I'm going to frame this paper, so I'm okay with that. So now my next thing is I have to stay tone on tone with each one of these elements. So I'm going to pick up elements that have green and a little bit of blue for the top ornament. I am using this chipboard shape. It kind of looked like a banner, so all I did is, you know, punch a hole, and because I didn't want to, like, you know, take this string out and like loop it through it, I just cut a little slit, so I'm able to kind of clip it onto the twine in this case, and I added this label just to bring some of like that snowflake and light blue look from that I have going on in that area. So you're gonna see I have that. Then for the red, I know that I want to add a flower because I want something that's gonna be a little bit heavier there, and that floral is gonna help me bring like a little bit of more like greenery to all my elements, like my ornaments, sorry. Then for the picture, I found this in the journaling ephemera, and it kind of looks like a little tag, like with little houses at the bottom. I'm sure that I'm not going to use it as is, so I decided to use this kind of a layer behind my photo. Again, I'm piercing holes behind it, and I'm going to attach it to the string. And then I went into the puffy stickers, added the heart and the sentiment, and you're going to see that I'm bringing just like pieces of ivy with berries to all the three ornaments, just because I want to have that kind of that flower look. Now, to add my title, I'm going to use the bottom right corner of the photo. I am adding a tab to the right hand side of the picture. I'm adding another flower behind the picture just to kind of bring that kind of greenery element. And then I am going to attach my title that comes from the chipboard titles. And then I went into creating an audition of the papers, not auditing, sorry, just kind of auditioning the papers just to find one that was going to make sense, you know, to bring this all together. So I went and picked up, this is the Holiday Hustle paper. I love the B-side. It has like pink and red and kind of these tiny little strips. So I went ahead and cut a 1-inch frame from it, and then I'm going to use the glue just to keep it, like, you know, to glue my base or my white cardstock right in the center. I don't need to waste the paper behind it, so I'm gonna hollow my frame, and then I'm gonna save the piece for another layout. And I'm pretty much done here, but I wanted to add interest and a little bit of shine. So I am using this at the wood pieces. They're like little stars from the collection, and I didn't want to leave them wood. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna heat emboss them with white glitter embossing powder. So this is white powder that has glitter in it. And just in case you wonder, it's from Wow embossing powders. So all I did is dip my wood pieces onto embossing ink, and then I dip them into the embossing white glitter powder, and then I'm just heating it up until it melts, and it creates these white shiny stars, which I love. So you're gonna see that I'm gonna use the glue once again to put them on my layout, and I wanted to just scatter them. I want some around the ornaments, I want some underneath the title, I want some, remember those spaces that I created, that pattern that I create on that ornament behind the photo, those little I'm gonna say kind of rhomboids in the center. I'm gonna put a star in it, kind of think of as a design for it. And once I have that, I know my lines of journal are gonna go to the right of the title. My cousin can write down there, like, you know, whatever she wants when she gets this layout, but I'm pretty much done. I love how this turned out. This was fun actually to put together, and I hope it gives you an idea of what to create, what you can create with the collection. There's a lot coming up. I've seen already some of the projects that are, like, you know, ready to be shared in the next few days, and they're beautiful. So it's gonna give you tons of ideas to document with this collection. As always, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to contact me. I would love to help you. Like I said, you know, make sure you check it out. It's bright, it's colorful, it has everything that you need, and plus, you know, as always, don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more beautiful content, and I hope to see you soon. Take care, guys.